given a voice to the voiceless. We share the stories behind our freedoms and the ultimate sacrifice of those who protect us all. This is Patriots Inside the Wire.
Beautiful thing to see the family and friends come together and honor his life and his service to our country.
Great to see you guys out here. This is awesome, really.
Welcome to the Patriots Inside the Wire broadcast, hosted by Gold Star mom, Tracy Two-Step.
Hey, welcome out there. I hope everyone is doing great tonight. It is with Patriots Inside the Wire and the Tree of Valor, Miss Lori. Lori, how are you doing tonight?
Great, excited because we're in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So I'm super excited about that. We're at the awesome, famous Lincoln Diner. So if you haven't been, you have to come visit the Lincoln Diner.
You have the best seat in the house already. I can tell you that. So I love it. So everybody out there, please share, grab your loved ones, reach out and share this show, subscribe, like, all the things that we need you to do in order to get this message out. And the show tonight is not just a show. It is a broadcast live. It is a podcast, and it is also a radio show. It is in multiple countries. It is right now live. So if you are going to listen to the actual podcast or radio, I'd like for you to go find the actual broadcast. The very easy way to do that is to go find Patriots Inside the Wire on YouTube or one of the social media platforms that is out there. Our website as well, patriotsinsidethewire.com. And of course, our host, the Tree of Valor. You can easily find them everywhere. Lori, you just mentioned you're in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. We have a wonderful guest tonight that I'm going to let you introduce and get into the show while I interact with the audience. Please send us your information, comments. By the way, we have an interactive audience, and say hello tonight to us. So thank you for joining us. Again, please share the show. Lori.
So I am super excited because on the way to Gettysburg, I literally just opened up my phone, determined to find a guest from this great town, and was totally blessed to find Major General Gale S. Pollock. And I want to read her bio because it's amazing how God works, that someone that I had never met, that she would just call into our show. Her bio is a continual learner. General Pollock became a certified nurse anesthetist soon after her graduation from the University of Maryland. She has a master's degree in business, a master's degree in healthcare administration, and a master's degree in national security and strategy. She received an honorary doctorate from the University of Maryland. As if this is not enough. While in the Army, she served as the commander of the U.S. Army Medical Command and the acting Surgeon General of the Army, the first woman non-physician to have this role in any of the military services. General Pollock was the 22nd Chief of the Army Nurse Corps, challenged by Senator Inouye to address the needs of the blinded troopers. Her passion became serving the vision-impaired community. In 2008, she established the Louis J. Fox Center for Vision Restoration and was an associate professor at the University of Pittsburgh Schools of Medicine and Nursing. In 2011, General Pollock became a Harvard University Fellow in their Advanced Leadership Initiative program. She serves on multiple advisory boards and is the owner of Pollock Associates, LLC. General Pollock established
eleVIVO.
I wanted to make sure we said that right. A software education platform addressing the needs of the visually impaired. She is a fellow in the American College of Healthcare Executives, the American Academy of Nursing, and certified as a board director by the National Board of Corporate Directors. Her passion is improving the quality of lives of those with vision loss. To escape and rejuvenate, she spends time hiking and birding with her husband, Doug or riding
Rio.
a 3 1/4 horse. Wow. So that just was, yes, it had to be read. It just,
Well, I want to
My
make
only
sure
comment
everyone's
after
out
reading
there.
that is, am I still alive? Was that my obituary?
I was about to say, I think she's sitting right beside us. I can't wait to hear
I
her
haven't
tell us.
fallen over dead yet.
I want to make sure I have this correct. So it's major, which to everyone out there would be
No,
MG.
it's general.
general.
It's a major general, but when we're introduced, we usually just use the word general. And then it's our responsibility, if there's other generals around,
Okay.
to where in the pecking line we are. So if
Okay.
I'm for a 2-star, I'm, beneath the expertise and skills of a 3 or 4-star.
Okay,
when
so ma'am, if I were to put your name down here with the acronyms and ranks, would it be Federal MG General Gale Pollock? Because that's what is over here sent to me. You tell me what to put. I want to put your name here at the bottom.
Right.
When you do it in writing, of course,
Okay.
things are always different in writing than they are verbally. You use MAJ, then capital GEN for Major General. And then Gale, like the wind. I'm a troublemaker. GALE.
Got that.
S. Pollock. POLLOCK.
I got it.
And
I got
then
it.
you can
I
put
do
all of
have it.
my
I have
acronyms after that.
I have MAJGEN Gale Pollock, Major General Gale Pollock.
Yes.
I got it. Okay, good. I always ask. I want to make sure because listen, you know it better than me, and that's why you're the guest. So there it is. We have Major General Gale Pollock on the show tonight. Listen, what would you like to be called on the show? What should I call you?
What I found people seem to be the most comfortable with is just calling me General Gale.
General
Because it
Gale.
recognizes the fact that I worked hard inside the military and achieved a significant rank, but the Gale gives me the more human piece of it.
Got it. I liked it. I liked it. So you just got to hear your bio, which is very, very extensive, and I loved it. I heard vision. I heard your service. Number one, thank you for your service. Definitely. I heard first female. I heard a lot in there that really stood out to me. So again, thank you again. But I'd like to know.
I was honored to do it. I tell people that I was 17 years old.
I was going to
I would
ask.
join the Army again in a heartbeat. I joined the Army when I was 17. My mom signed the paperwork for me so I could go in the Army.
And what made you decide?
What made
to do
you
that?
decide to do that?
Why did I join the Army?
Yes.
It's kind of a funny story. I was probably about 4, and my mom was driving me somewhere. And she said, "What are you going to do when you grow up?" And I think she was trying to get me out of the house because my father drank. It was a pretty unpleasant place. And I think she was trying to imagine me safe in another place. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to be a nurse." And she looked at me because we didn't know any nurses. And she said, "Why's that?" And I said, "Because I have to take care of God's sheep." And she looked at me like I had several heads. And I remember exactly where we were when she was driving and when I said that. And so I always knew when I grow up, I will be a nurse. I was too little to know that there were, options or not options, depending on where you came from, who you were, and, but I just, I'm going to be a nurse. And then I was probably, about 10 when a family friend whose daughter was a nurse said, "Gale, nursing is changing. And the only way you'll get a good job is if you go to college to be a nurse." And I said, "Okay." And so that decision was made. But my father was drinking and getting more and more violent. And as odd as he was, he served in the Navy during World War II. And he remembered the kindness of people inviting him home for a Sunday dinner. So he worked by Fort Monmouth in New Jersey. And he would invite soldiers home for Sunday dinner. Now, as an adult, I just shake my head. Because he was probably pretty reasonable at work, kind of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing.
Yeah.
And then they'd get down to the house and he'd be a wild man because he was drinking so much. But one of the soldiers that he brought home was in his mid-20s. And so he was older than the young ones. And he just felt really safe to me. And I took him aside and said, I'm really scared. I don't think I'm going to live to get out of here. Because he was seeing what was going on. And he said, Gale, you're going to get out of here and you're going to do great things. And I was like, oh, nobody has ever said anything that positive to me in my life. Huh. And then he continued on in the military. He had volunteered because he didn't want a married man to have to go to Vietnam. So he had volunteered, went to OCS, went to Ranger School, went to Jungle Warfare School, all that stuff. And then they send him as a lieutenant into Vietnam. And we all know how bad that was. And he was working with his squad and they were attacked and Robin lost his leg. And the Army Medical Department kept him alive and brought him home so that he stayed the knot at the end of my rope. And I always knew I could turn to Robin in a bad time. And I could always remember that he said, you're going to get out of there. You're going to do great things. So when he got hurt, I said, I'm going to be an Army nurse. So my mother was like, yeah, that's pretty funny. You're going to be a nurse. You're going to go to college. No, you're not. No one in my family had ever gone to college.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll just figure it out. And then, you know, you mentioned that God brought me to you today. Well, I have never liked to read the newspaper or watch the news or any of that because it's all emotion and fear and anger. And it just always made me feel bad. So I didn't do it. This particular Sunday, I just felt absolutely compelled to go through the Sunday paper. And I discovered a scholarship program for potential Army nurses where they would pay for all 4 years of our college. And then they would commission us as first lieutenants.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is how I'm going to college.
That's how it's meant to be.
And I showed it to my mom and she goes, you're not going to college. And I was, well, thank you for your support. And I sat down and I started thinking about what do I have to do? So I started working in a nursing home. I became a candy striper. You know, I did everything I could think of to show that I was in different environments and I could deal with the stresses of different environments. And then we had to write, you know, an essay about why we would be good Army nurses. And my mother's like, I don't know why you're doing this. You're not going to hear from them. And I was like, yeah, I hear you.
That would be.
I'm doing it anyhow.
Story.
I'm doing it anyhow. And I submitted all my stuff. And I got a letter in the mail that said, Miss Pollock, we would like to interview you. Can you please be in Philadelphia on this day? And my mother agreed to drive me to Philadelphia. And life was very different then because they even let her sit in the room where I was being interviewed.
Oh, wow.
Now, they told her she couldn't.
You were 17.
I was about 16 then.
Oh, wow.
It took a little longer. And so I was being interviewed by Colonel Barberi. I still remember her name. I usually don't remember names, but I remember Colonel Barberi. And at the end of the interview, she said to me, well, Miss Pollock, why should we select you for the Army Nurse Corps? And I said, because I'm one of the brightest young women in America. And if you don't scoff me up, somebody else will. And she smiled and she said, well, thank you for that information. And you know, we were dismissed and my mother chewed my butt the whole way home.
Oh.
You can't talk about yourself like that. Nobody wants, you know, they won't pick you. And I'm like, Mom, it's a competition. No one else is going to walk in and say, oh, don't pick me, pick Pollock.
Yeah.
You know, no, I got to sell me as a leader, a potential leader for the Army Nurse Corps. And about 8 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail that said, congratulations, Ms. Pollock, you're one of 175 out of 4,000 applicants.
Wow.
It's like, yes.
That's amazing. Yes, that deserves that.
That was how I, then the local recruiter came and took me to Newark, New Jersey and swore me into the Army.
Yeah.
And
What did your
then
mom
I
say?
started, my mother was stunned.
I'm sure.
They want someone
You?
like you. Yeah,
Right.
they do.
Yeah.
They do.
I love
And-
that.
And I loved the Army because it always had opportunities and challenges. And as long as you want to learn and grow and have new experiences, Army can be a great place. But
Correct.
if you want to do things the same old, same way, and you don't want to learn, and you don't want to learn from other people and have, just wonderful teaching and learning opportunities, then it's not going to work for you. But I loved it.
Yes.
I loved it. I used to say to people that when I went into work, I felt like somebody hit the light switch and turned it on. And I was just like fired up. I loved being at work for the Army.
Well, that's amazing, because the opposite is awful.
36 years.
I love that. I love that. And I think that everybody, it should be like that in life. Like, I hope that you love what you're doing. Otherwise, life is so short, right? It's, and I have to say something. What you said at your age, I won't get into a lot about me, but I grew up with nothing, like foster system, certain things. So when I talk to people, I started out in nursing school, decided, I can't, it wasn't for me. But I say to people all the time, I will say something like what you said. I'll say, I don't have time for this. Either we're doing this or we're not. So if you put me in sales or you put me somewhere, I'm going to look at you and say, we're either going to do this or we're not.
Let's get it done.
Let's get to it. What's the deal here?
Tracy always has this connection with every
It's
guest.
like, what's the deal? I don't have the time.
Yeah, it's so weird.
No, but I love that. I love I love your story too. So being in the Army, here you are, and obviously it's medic, because we're mentioning your background is in nursing. So you went in as a medic in the Army.
Well, I went in as a nursing student.
Yeah,
and I was considered an E3. So the Navy in particular could call me a maverick, because I was enlisted for 4 years and then commissioned.
correct.
And so I teased the guys that went to the academies. It's like, let me see, you got treated like crap for 4 years and you didn't get credit for the 4 years you were there.
Yeah,
I got credit for pay and retirement for my 4 years, and I didn't get treated as poorly as you did.
yeah.
So who had the better scholarship?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that right there is amazing. So I just say congratulations on that part too. So I love it when I get to hear a story like this. Throughout your time in the military, did you, so we got to hear, the reason of why you joined and that you went in. Was there something in the military that came across with you? I heard you mention vision. So what is there? And if I'm not mistaken, I would bet money after doing my research, you are General Gale Pollock that I saw. You were serving as an acting Surgeon General.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, you then became a Surgeon General. Am I correct?
No, I did not become the Surgeon General.
Okay. Okay.
I was moved into that position as the acting Surgeon General as a result of the problems that we had at Walter Reed back in 2006.
Okay.
And Congress didn't trust us. The Army leaders didn't trust us. Our patients didn't trust us.
Mm-hmm.
And the Surgeon General lost his position as a result of that whole blow up.
Wow.
You walked into a pit.
I walked into quite a disaster. And the Vice Chief of the Army, Dick Cody, said to me at the time, "Okay, girl nurse, go fix it." And I'm like, I got it.
Girl nurse.
And
Girl nurse.
there are days that you just kind of bite your lip, but
Sometimes you don't. That's okay
right.
too.
But Lori asked me a question before we got started, like what kept me going when I was in the Army, because they weren't all fun days.
Yes.
But I knew exactly why I was there. I was there to make sure that somebody else's big brother or then big sister. And then I realized that it could be brother or sister or mom or dad or aunt or uncle. And I didn't care, other than we were going to do everything on earth to make sure that that man or that woman came home to their family. And
Amen.
Don't get between me and taking care of a soldier. So the fact that I was a woman and a nurse, not a guy and not a doc, I overcame that because the soldiers and the military leadership knew that nothing was going to stand between me and taking care of them. And so they trusted me implicitly. And so although he said, yeah, go, girl nurse, go fix it, he said it with a smile and a grin, because he knew that if the people that were around, I was going to go kick butt and get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Secretary of the Army, Pete Guerin, was really nervous because I said, I want to talk to the media. And he said, oh, no. I keep, every time one of you guys talks to the media, you get fired. I said, I'm not going to get fired, but they don't know who I am. And they need to know who I am, and don't try and get between me and taking care of a soldier.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, you got to talk to the media guys, you know, that do all of that coordination.
Public affairs. Yep.
And I said, okay. So I called down, but the general I was supposed to talk to was in meetings all day. And I said, please document the fact that I called. And then we sent out the media query that said, the new acting surgeon general is going to be at the Pentagon at this time in this place. And if you have any questions or you want to talk to her and find out who she is, then you better be there. And we had 17 people show up from different media type organizations. And I said, look, I basically told them what I've just told you. You know, this is why I came in. Don't get in my way if I want to take good care of people. And I understand that Congress is mad and the military leadership is mad and our patients are mad, but dadgummit, I'm going to change that.
Yeah.
And we got through that. We got through that. I worried a lot that the senior male physicians would lead an exit to the door because they'd never had a woman in that position before.
Yeah.
And you weren't a physician.
And I wasn't a physician. And I made phone calls and visits to say, if you leave us now, the house will implode. Everything you've worked for all your life will fall apart. You've given up money. You've moved your family a zillion times. You know, you don't have the respect that the civilians do because they make a boatload more money than you do. You know, so you can't do for your family what a doc down the street can do. Don't walk away now. Stay with me. Let's fix this.
Yeah.
And heaven bless them because they all stayed. Wow. They all stayed. I had wonderful support. They'd shake their heads some days going, what is she doing?
Shaking things up.
All of that. You went from all of that. Just, I want to make sure we get in like what you're doing now too, right?
Yeah.
So you, not to like rush you, but I really want to get to.
No, I can tell stories for hours.
Yeah. So if you fast forward to when you,
how did I get into the vision thing?
Yeah. How did you graduate into that?
Okay, well, we mentioned Senator Inouye. So before I got promoted, and I'm not a rocket science. I didn't go from colonel to 2-star because I'm a rocket scientist. The Senate changed the law because they wanted more diversity around the tables. So I was the first nurse to go from colonel to 2-star.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, and I'm very frank about it. It's not because, you know, I was like a super genius. I was just out there doing my job.
Right. Right.
But because I knew I would be under the microscope, I was like, okay, well, what can get me in trouble? The media.
Because you wanted to do it or because you didn't?
Well, I think I get
It's
a lot of
smart. It's smart to do it.
I
Yeah.
ask me questions and I ask them one. I could take you down a whole nother rabbit story.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole.
That's why we're independent, by the way, for everyone out there. So, so you're okay.
The senator from Hawaii, Daniel Inouye, was part of a panel that the Army, Navy, and Surgeon Generals were all briefing one morning. So I thought, I've never done congressional testimony. Let me go down and see it. So I put on civilian clothes so that one of the media people wouldn't throw a microphone in my face and say, well, what do you think about what your boss just said? So I was incognito.
Yeah, right.
And it was early in the global war on terror. And so we were dealing with primarily gunshots. And so we do really well recovering people from gunshots. at like 97% survival.
Right.
You know, so they were saying, we're doing great. And Senator Inouye crossed his arms and said, but what about the blinded troopers? And the three docs looked at each other and said, not a problem. Inouye recoiled like he'd been hit in the face. And he went, oh, really? And my antenna, my nursing antenna went whoop, 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 whoop. This man received a Medal of Honor, so he understands the evil of the battlefield. He sacrificed an arm from his injury. His arm dangled down next to him.
Yeah.
For the rest of his life after World War II. So he had spent hundreds of collective days with other wounded troopers in hospital. What had he seen as injuries that we had either forgotten or overlooked?
Right.
So once I got promoted to 2-star and I could sit down with the staff and say, gee, I need you to do this.
Yeah.
I sat down with the data guys, and that's when we figured out 10 to 13% of all combat injuries involve the eye.
Mm-hmm.
It could be as small as a cut eyelid. It could be as serious as removal of one or both eyes.
Yeah.
And so then I started looking, well, what are the differences since World War II? And back in the early, 2000 to 2010 space, we were still telling people to learn Braille. Adults don't learn Braille. It's a foreign language. Only 10% of adult visually impaired people learn Braille.
Yeah.
We give them service dogs, but there are tens of thousands of visually impaired people, and there aren't enough dogs. So that doesn't work either. We give them a white cane. Women don't want to use a white cane that become visually impaired as adults because we don't want to be more vulnerable. We don't want to look like victims. Oh, come assault me.
Yeah.
So women don't want to use it. And the guys don't like demonstrating that they're different.
Yeah.
The majority of people that you see who are very fluent cane users had visual issues when they were children. And it takes years after an adult loses their vision, normally before they're willing to take that step. And you can't get a dog until you've learned how to use a cane, because you use it in concert. So, I start learning all of this, and I was like, holy Moses. I always wondered, what am I going to do after the Army? God's given me a whole new herd of sheep, because the visually impaired are just ignored, abandoned, cast aside. We have a stigma in the United States that if your eyes don't work, your brain must be dead. Your brain's not dead. We don't treat you like your brain's dead if you have heart disease or liver disease or kidney disease or some kind of cancer. But boy, oh boy, get near your eyes and your brain must be bad. No one wants to admit they have vision impairment because they don't want you to treat them like they're stupid. They're not stupid. Their eyes don't work.
Right.
So
On the K9 program,
help them.
You were used to this as you were serving?
Better. I'll shut up now.
No. I'm just trying to make sure that everybody understands following us. So as you're serving active,
our guest, our other guest.
Come here.
Oh,
we have a third guest.
I can hear your guest.
Yes. I'm trying to get him.
So as you're serving actively, literally, you've noticed this already. You're serving active. So actively, you're noticing that there were not enough dogs already and we're going to
not enough dogs for the visually impaired group.
Right.
And we've been able to have dogs trained now for a zillion different things. If you have diabetes, if you have
epilepsy,
there could be a general sickness like
if you have post-traumatic stress.
Yes.
There are a number of ways that dogs can be assistive.
Their senses, yes.
Because of a number of episodes in my life, I'm very distrustful in new environments.
Yes.
And so I have a PTSD dog.
Oh, okay.
And so someone just came into this room.
Oh.
And he wanted me to know that someone had come in and he wasn't happy. And that's what that was.
I need one of those.
My guest, his name is Nigel.
Let's see if we can
He's a
find
white
some.
standard
Thank you.
poodle. Can we get your
Aw.
head up here,
Oh,
sweetie?
beautiful.
Oh, look at there.
Oh, oh, they cut out there for a second. So we just need our guests to come back again tonight. We are on with Major General Gale Pollock, who is showing us, we're talking about her career for a long span in the Army. Major General Gale Pollock. If you look her up, you will find some extensive knowledge, as I did when she did go in front of the media. And she was Surgeon General acting within the Army. And now we're moving on into talking about vision impairment and with the dogs. Here we are. We're back.
Now, here he is.
Valor.
Here he is.
And here we are with
That
Nigel.
woof woof you heard was
That
my
is
big
it.
white fuzzy boy.
There he is. Yes, I
And here
love
he is,
that.
right here. But there are not enough dogs in the country. He came from an organization called Custom Canine.
Yes.
And they specifically train for PTSD dogs. And
Yes.
they were fabulous to work with.
So do we need more dogs?
Oh,
for
we
this?
absolutely need more
Well,
dogs.
we definitely need more dogs. So as you got out of the military, how long were you in the military?
36 years.
36 years. Yes, we need that known. That was a good move. I saw that. So you're talking about that, and I'll tell you that I've been curious about the dogs. I do have another friend. She's a Gold Star mom. I have a question for you that everyone would love to be answered. Have you ever experienced when you are serving in the military that there are doctors used that are contractors? They are not literally in the military.
Oh,
They're doctors that are just contracted to be used while someone's serving.
well, someone's serving.
So active duty, you know how they'll have general contractors in other fields. Have you ever seen in the field of being medic that there are
inside
doctors-
inside the military
the
medical
military
department.
will have
Okay.
contracted medical
Okay.
team?
Not when we deploy,
Right.
but we do have some contract docs because of their specialties
Okay.
that come into our what we call garrison units. So the
Mhm.
hospitals that you all are exposed to all around the country, we will use contractors there.
Okay.
People are surprised that about 60% of the people caring for our men and women in uniform through the Army are actually civilians.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you.
the other services have a much smaller
Yeah.
footprint of civilians,
Yes.
but we've been very, very dependent because we're such a large organization.
Mhm.
And historically, we have not paid as well as civilian organizations. And so it's the people who are truly committed to the men and women in uniform that then become contractors, become
I have
government.
to tell you, you're the
employees.
only person who's been able to answer that for me correctly. So I'm glad you did that.
Oh, and where's, I want to know what the
We've
source
lost
is
too many.
so that you
We've
can
lost,
say, yes, you're correct, General Pollock.
You're correct, General Pollock, because we've lost a couple of people. There's more than a couple, but I can only speak to what I know.
Mhm.
We have lost a couple that I know that turned out to be contracted individuals. I don't know their position, so I don't want to speak too much on it. I'm just going to let you know that they would still be alive had someone followed up and done their job. But they're stating because it was a contractor that it technically was not the duty of command to follow up and check on an active duty service member. What do you say?
I need to know more specifics than
Yeah.
something that general.
Yeah, if someone
in
hit
order
their
to
head,
say, gee, I would have questions here, or no, I think that the processes were followed.
Yeah.
I'd love to answer your question, but
Yeah.
without it being more specific, I
More
can't give you a
details.
good answer.
well, then I can tell you something because it did just pass. So someone has hit their head. They're active duty, PV2. I can say his name, Caleb Smither. The Smitty check just is passing. Hit his head, goes for, I don't know the number of days. It's an extensive amount of days that nobody has checked, has not shown up for PT. No one's checking to follow through. And without getting too deep into this story, they had hired contractors to come in that are doctors. And even one of the contractors, who was a nurse at a hospital, said, this person should not be leaving the hospital. The other said, no, they're fine. Send them back to the base. The base that was checking on this, it's a contracted doctor. They were not active duty. Even the command, nobody followed through and checked up. He laid in his room.
Yeah, well, my question would be, where was the unit?
Well, that was my first thing. I said, where in the world was the unit?
Our first level, our battle buddies are the people that we work with every day.
Yeah.
And if I'm not at PT in the morning, and somebody should be saying, hey, Sarge, Pollock's missing.
Yes.
So,
and it was an extended
as
weekend.
Is often the case in instances like that, it's never just one issue. It's multiple errors. A little one here. Oh, they're good enough. Oh, he'll show up later. It's the accumulation of errors that lead to a bad outcome. It's never just one thing or one person.
And the outcome for him was tell her how they found him.
Well, that has changed now. So now we have this Smitty check, and that's PV2 Caleb Smither. So that is not my son. I can bring that one up because I know that one personally. If you all want to look it up later, I'll send something to Lori, but I don't want to go too deep into that. I want to go into your story, because now that individual, we're talking, and they're going to be opening up where they're training dogs. So they're gone from losing her son, just like I have, that was serving active duty. And then we've just had a recent phone call about the things that I'm doing with the Sergeant Two-Step Foundation and Patriots Inside the Wire here with Lori at the Tree of Valor. And one of her biggest missions is the dogs. Getting enough dogs out there. There aren't enough, whether it's PTSD for someone like a family member. And, it is like the movies. Everyone always asks, I'm like, ask me whatever you want, because I'm an open book. I'm a truth teller. They're like, well, is it like the movies when they knock on your door? Yeah, they knock on your door. They really do. They really knock. And they really
come in uniform and say,
they're in uniform. You're in the middle of a corner of a couch, and then they leave. And then you're like, whoa. And then you're rushed through all these different things you have to do, and then they leave. And then they're gone. And it's like, where's my unit? Where are the people? What are we supposed to do? So speaking of dogs, that was
I'd love to talk about that, because I would love to challenge your listeners.
I would too.
The reason there aren't enough dogs is we don't have people that will socialize them, because we need people that will take them when they're young pups and they're ready to leave their moms and start to teach them basic commands: sit down, stay, come, play with them, and then put them in a little vest and take them out and walk them around. And it usually says puppy in training.
Yes.
Then you take them everywhere. They can go into the post office with you. They can go into the grocery store with you, and you teach them that when they're in uniform, they don't interact with other people because they have a job.
Yeah,
just like we need jobs
from. So if people wanted to connect with someone and to
participate in that, I would be happy to help compile a list of organizations that are doing the dog training.
I would love that with the Sergeant Two-Step Foundation.
Another piece that I'd like to get information to you about is many people don't know that if your dog has been trained by a certified organization and you have VA benefits, the VA will help ameliorate the cost of you maintaining that dog. So our different federal agencies have been working, I would say, hand in glove in some issues to try and make it as easy for people as possible to have the tools that they need. And
just
I'm going to use this as a segue to tell you about what
I have one question. Just like this individual is going to open a whole ranch where they want to train dogs, do all sorts of things. I am my person's gone. So my person's gone. So I don't get VA benefits. So how does someone like the rest of us that have had someone and now they're gone, how do we get anything? Because to be honest with you, there isn't anything coming to us except here's your flag.
Yeah. And I've been on my knee and given those flags, and I would tell you
it's awful.
That it's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. To look at the pain in a family's face and say,
you know what it means to me to hear you say that. I changed the picture right up above you there. You can see there that is what I was handed was, and I don't say a piece of cloth because I respect that flag, and the very freedoms that we have are because of that service when that kid of mine took the oath, and you as well. So I still support, but one of my biggest things is how do I get a dog like that because of the different anxieties? I'm not afraid to admit it to anybody.
But we have to start talking about how different tools help different people.
Yes.
And there's been so much pushback because people want to pretend that their pet is a service dog.
Right.
A service dog is a very well-trained beast, depending on their size.
And now people are saying cats and
snakes and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It drives the airlines crazy. But until we have a good and open conversation across the United States among multiple providers and patients, individuals who would benefit from services like these dogs can provide. But people want to pretend that post-traumatic stress is a military issue. It is not just a military issue. Post-traumatic stress occurs in our communities, all around our nation, all around the world. We all can suffer through traumas, witnessing trauma. There's a whole number of things that we can experience or observe that can contribute to post-traumatic stress. It doesn't mean we're defective human beings. It means that we've been traumatized about something. And when we feel better, we can do a whole lot better.
Now, your organization, I've read, isn't just for veterans, though.
Okay, now you're talking about my organization.
Right.
The organization that I've started is called ELA, like elevator.
Okay.
VIVO, like lives. It's a Latin word. So lifting lives.
Okay.
Because once I heard that challenge from Senator Inouye, then I let, like the AMED, the Army Medical Department team, know that if we have people with vision damage from the war, I want to know about it. And so I started to talk to our patients, to their families, to say, what's going on? What do you need? I talked to the providers. And there are times when there are no medical treatments. But that doesn't mean that there's not a myriad of other things that people can learn and do that help to compensate for that loss.
That's true.
And it's like, why do we, let's destroy this stigma, because there's no way to piss me off faster than to treat me like I'm stupid. Don't go there.
Yeah.
And, so I understand. I don't want somebody to treat me like I'm stupid because I'm a woman. So why would I want to be treated like I'm stupid? Because if my eyes didn't work, it's silly. It's just silly.
It is.
And so what I did was I thought about it as a nurse. If I was going to sit down with you today and I learned that you have vision challenges, I'd want to know, well, what are you worried the most about? Keeping your job, understanding how to get around, how to get from place to place because you can't drive anymore. Do you want to participate in clinical research? Do you want to know about the classes and training that are available for people that are losing their vision? Do you want to know about the tools and the devices that others are using that make their lives so much easier? You know, do you want to know about recreation and enrichment? You know, what do you want? What do you need to learn about today? And so
now in this organization, is it just for veterans? Are we talking the
no, this is for anyone, because vision is not, you know,
Yeah,
I got
have
excited about it because of Senator Inouye's concerns about the blinded troopers. But as I started learning about, gee, it's not just trauma that can cause vision loss.
Right.
You know, I started learning about diseases, diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration, glaucoma, retinitis pigmentosa. You know, I could go on. But they used to be diseases of aging. And so if you didn't get the disease until you were 63 or 65, and then you died by the time you were 67, you know, you had some inconvenience for a couple of years, but it wasn't a long time. But now these diseases are appearing as early as 50 for macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataracts. You know, okay, if I
even earlier, I mean, you'd be surprised. It's even earlier. Like someone like I was sick, and just quickly, I'll tell you, like I've had a moment where I couldn't speak and I couldn't see because I was so sick. We couldn't figure it out. But then even still, there's things that I deal with where my vision, I just literally say, it's like I have a screen across my eyes. And then sometimes it's worse. And then, so I have to be careful. So we're talking about vision issues can come from different types of cancer or different types of thyroid disease or illness,
different diseases
in general.
And I know I'm interrupting you, Tracy, so forgive me.
No, I'm glad. I like this.
When I left the Army and I was getting more and more involved in vision issues, diabetic retinopathy didn't tend to start until about age 50 to 55. Currently, it's starting by age 40. And because of the obesity that we have in America, we have these, unfortunately, these fat, 5, 6, 7-year-olds. It's very hard to manage diabetes in children.
It is.
They are now going to present with diabetic retinopathy in their early 20s and 30s. And if we haven't figured out how to keep them in our society, to allow them to be our workers, our human capital of the future, can we really deal with 25% less of that population being part of our communities, part of our workforces? I say no. I don't want them discounted and discarded as human beings. I want them to achieve their potential. And so let's figure out how to include these young men and women, older men and women. How do we keep them in our community? How do we keep them thriving? And that's what keeps me getting out of bed every day now. Because if I can only help one person today, I can go to bed and say, well, I helped one person. But that's why I started the online option, because it's available to anyone who can get onto a computer. eleVIVO.com. It's ELEVIVO.com. eleVIVO. And
I like that you spelled that, because I want to do that again. Because remember, on radio and podcasts, if they're not watching us, I want to make sure they understand.
Okay, it's eleVIVO. E as in elephant, L as in llama, E as in elephant. You can tell I don't use the military alphabet anymore. V as in victory, I as in India, V as in victory, O as in Oscar. I'll throw one in for you. .com. And that allows you to go. You could sign up for a year, and it's only $99 a year. If you go in through AUSA, they have a discount. You get it a little cheaper. And I'm trying to take care of my veterans and my service buddies.
Yeah.
But if you find out that you have an issue and I'm not answering it in that system, you just contact us. And that's why I have a data team. Because when we find out something's missing, we fix it. We have information on all 50 states and territories. So if you want to know about how can I get around in my community, what are the local transportation options? How do I safely live at home? Who would come and evaluate my house?
Wow.
The room I use the most is the kitchen because I want to keep cooking for my family. My next step is I'm going to start doing videos to help show people how to do things safely when you can't see what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. You just need to learn the skills, learn the tricks.
Right.
If I'm going to cut, I'm going to use your stick.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to use your stick. So if I'm in the kitchen and I want to cut a sandwich and this is my knife, yeah, you know, I'm not going to lay my fingers out straight on the top of my sandwich. I'm going to bend my fingers so that my knuckles are there. And I'm going to put my knuckles down on my sandwich, and then I'm going to cut with my knife.
Yes.
Then I can't hurt myself. I made my own sandwich. I can take care of myself. I can feed myself. And now we have all of those options because of COVID on how to better get your groceries. You could call in a list, and your neighbor, when they're picking up their groceries, could grab your bag.
That's true.
You know, there's so much that we've learned that will make people's lives easier. But if they don't have a resource to get that information, where are they going to get it? You know,
No, I'm being asked again. I'm sorry.
7 hours to take a class.
Yes.
That's why I want to start putting stuff up by video, because you may not be able to get to a class.
Connected to the VA? I mean, do they know that you're here as a resource?
Yeah, I'm talking.
And I'm being asked again, and I know that we are correct, but I'm asking again. It's eleVIVO.
No.
Okay.
ELE. 1 E, 1 L, 1 E, 1 V, 1 I, 1 V, 1 O.
Okay. Yeah. I have one of the L's. It is eleVIVO.com for anyone out there.
Airborne, you got it.
To look this up again, that was one L. eleVIVO.com. You can go to the site. You'll be able to find all of this information. So I want to make sure that you understand where to go to find it. And I'm also being asked, is that about the dogs? No, this is about eyesight.
No, that's about vision. That's specifically vision issues. On there, we do have information about the dogs for the visually impaired, listing the different organizations and what territories across the country they cover. Because some will do a couple of states, others will be nationwide, but you can get on there and figure out what you need.
Okay, so
if something you need is not on there, you just tell us and we will fix that.
Okay, and to get information from you about the dogs, where would you like for people to go? Because I bet you have a list. I bet you have an extensive list of good organizations that you work with.
For the visually impaired, yes.
Okay.
What I can do is I can talk with Custom Canines because they're familiar with the organizations all across the country.
Okay.
And then there are a number of certified organizations that we can reach out to too. But I've got some military nurse friends that are working the dog issues because they think that there are needs for more dogs. So let me reach out to some of them and I will get that information to the two of you.
Okay.
So
you see me doing this? I'm literally doing this.
She has a lot of other topics. So
I know.
And she can also talk about those topics.
I love it. But look, I do have to say this for everyone out there listening. When you just said something, you said serving, one of the hardest things that you did, one of the things when you got on your knee, the only time I've been on this show, nobody's ever gotten me. Literally, you almost got me literally because you said, you know, that when you did that was one of the hardest.
Yeah, it's very, very hard.
When
you're looking into the pain of a family member's face, in their eyes, you know, they're tearing. I don't know. I can't speak to the men that served with me and did it as well. But, you know, I know that their hearts were ripping up too, because I had conversations with them about how hard it was for them to have to do the Purple Heart ceremonies. And they said, Gale, we don't know how you Army nurses do it.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. So this is like another story I could tell. But
were you ever a
how do you do
CAO?
it? You do it 24/7. And I said, I know.
Were you ever
and you
a
wonder
CAO
why the nurses are in pain too when they come home. You know,
were you a CAO too, General?
I can't go.
Were you a CAO?
No, I never was. I never
Okay.
was.
Okay.
Oh,
And
please.
for-
Why would you have done that?
I did anesthesia, and we were always short anesthesia personnel. I didn't get out to do anything beyond anesthesia until I broke free of that community. And then I had to justify to the chief of staff of personnel why I should be working at the Pentagon. But that's why I said I could tell a million stories.
I like it.
You only have just so much time.
I said that, Lori, because she says that she's been on a knee and she's seen that flag go to a family. So I wondered if she actually did do the CAO position, or you actually were you were there.
No, I was one of when I was assigned to the Pentagon, we were on a rotation schedule so that no one had to do it every day.
Okay.
So we alternated times.
Got it.
We got notified by the detail folks saying, okay, General Pollock, you need to be at Arlington today.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And,
I've never known that side. That's interesting. You're right, Lori, man. There's so many subjects that we can get into. You're going to have to come back literally.
Well, I would be delighted to.
When I come back to Gettysburg,
I would be delighted to.
You'll be our Gettysburg guest.
Okay.
Yeah, we literally, I have so
Mother's
many
Day.
questions, but I want to hear more about what you were going to get into. Lori, you've got a list there. So
I do.
yeah, let's get into your list because there's just so much. We're going to have to bring you back.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you have there, Lori?
Oh, well, if we're just going to talk about the list, we're going to talk about Kenya.
Okay.
And the orphans in Kenya. And we're going to talk about saving Gettysburg.
Oh, okay.
Keeping it historic.
If I can have 30 more seconds.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Gettysburg is a treasured place by people around the world. And right now we're having a struggle in town because they want to change how the downtown appears. It's now generally 2- and 3-story buildings so that it reflects what Gettysburg looked like during the battle. And there are a number of us that think it's very important to maintain that because it can be so quickly lost. There was a beautiful historic area just outside of Washington, D.C. in Falls Church. And when they allowed a tall building to come in, it didn't take but a very short period of time before the entire sense of that historic community was gone. And now they want to put a 7-story apartment building in about a block and a half. And people will criticize me about a block and a half, about a block and a half from our square. So there'll be nowhere that you are downtown that you're not seeing this. And it will obstruct views of that people had come to really cherish. So there is an organization that's working hard here. Save Historic Gettysburg. It's just Save Historic Gettysburg. And Gettysburg is spelled GETTYSBURG. And if you just go onto the web and look that up, it'll take you to that site. And what we're doing now is we're collecting signatures from people all over the world that say, don't change the historic face of Gettysburg. And so for all of your listeners, it won't cost you anything other than a couple of minutes of your time to go to the web, Save Historic Gettysburg, and help us to protect this essential community for history and for the memories of America. We have people who come in all the time from all over America and all over the world to see and to learn about the battle here. And we can learn so much from our history so that we don't have to repeat mistakes.
That's
so
true.
Please help us to save historic Gettysburg.
I have that down there for you. I'm looking up a name. I do have a friend. He actually was running for president. We're not going to get into that. but he is very big on helping in Gettysburg and everywhere and anything he's ever done. He does not talk to you unless he talks about Gettysburg. He lives near there. So I'm looking him up, and I'm going to make sure I get that information to Lori. But he would get me if I did not bring this up. But Gettysburg has been something that he has been focused on for quite some time right now. So
Well, we need all the partners we can get.
yes, I need to get in touch with him, and he is very, very, very active. So I will go through here and I will get him. I don't want to say his name out loud on the live show, but
I understand.
I can get it to Lori by text. And he might be watching actually. So if you're watching me, there's a certain community out there, that's very active to watch as well. We're live. And I'm talking about Gettysburg right now, and it's Save Historic Gettysburg.com. If you'll just go to that website, looking for signatures, you want to save that area, the historic area that is there. That is where we are live right now. The Tree of Valor's live remote right now with General Gale, who's joining us. We're talking about this. So as our community, please share this. I see our X community there, and I want you to share this. And it is about Gettysburg. Again, I have given you the website, which is Save Historic Gettysburg.com. And that is all one word, Save Historic Gettysburg.com. Please go there and check that out. And I do know that if you'll get this circulating around, you'll be able to get plenty of people on this. And
That would be fabulous.
Yes, on the Gettysburg list. And then the other website, again, about vision. As you notice, I'm doing this. And so this is why I'm asking you about vision and dogs. And that is eleVIVO.com at the vision. And then we'll get you more about the dogs. But as you're in Gettysburg, how is it going there in Gettysburg with what you're trying to do?
It's been very well received.
Okay.
And I've had lots of encouragement from different organizations. They have different civic organizations from the churches in town, because if you go into a group and you say, do you know anyone who's struggling with their vision?
Mm-hmm.
If you get a group of 10 or 15 people, you're always going to get at least one hand.
Yeah.
And well, how do you help them?
Unfortunately.
How do you help them? What can you do to make their life a little easier? You know, do you think they could use some information about making their life easier?
Yes,
And
they can.
People are always nodding this way. Yeah, they could use help. How do I help them? Well, go to the website, learn how to help them.
Yes. That, and then, so that is why you both are in Gettysburg? You're both in Gettysburg for the same reason?
Well, some of us are visiting family, and some of them, because she's visiting her family, she found me.
Right.
Wow.
I grew up, like I was born here.
Oh, well, there we go. We found out something we did not know. I actually have family up there. So that's why I'm making sure. I'm like, we just doubled our numbers by me reaching out to the one area I knew that would listen. So I know what I'm doing here. So when I was leaning in to say, hey, we've got something going on in Gettysburg right now. It's a historic area. We're on with Major General Gale Pollock, and we need you to go to savehistoricgettysburg.com right now.
Sign our petition.
Tripled the numbers just now. Right now, please keep sharing the show. Pay attention to what is going on in Gettysburg, the historic area. I believe there's an apartment complex about a block and a half over, trying to take away from what is there in Gettysburg, the historic area. Not just that, you've already got a tall building that's been put up. So being able to save our historic areas is a very, very big piece of my heart and piece of the community that I'm employing to right now. I see your numbers going up. Keep sharing. Again, with Gettysburg, the historic area, with Major General Gale Pollock, we need you to go to savehistoricgettysburg.com. Go on there, take a look at that and see what's happening. And let's make sure that we keep Gettysburg the way it needs to be. And we need to honor and remember. And we need to all reach out, get involved, and do something. Because when we get involved and we take part in things, we can make a difference. So Get involved.
Into
Let's
that.
save it. Let's save Gettysburg, the historic area. There's a lot behind Gettysburg. We could do a whole show on that too. But I want you to go to this website. Go to the website, savehistoricgettysburg.com. So, General Gale, that's why you're in Gettysburg?
Well, you live here.
I live here.
She lives here.
I live
Well,
here.
then,
We
we go.
moved here
Not
in
only she lives
2011. And
So then you
like
know a
the
lot
fact
about
that
it.
Yeah, I've been here quite a long time. I've lived here longer than I lived anywhere since I
Okay.
was, a child.
Okay.
And we
So
just
you can
we
speak
just love
well
the
on this.
community. So help us save it.
Good, good. So you can speak a lot on this then. You can tell
Well,
us.
I can bring it. I can bring you the people that can tell you about Gettysburg.
Okay. All right. Because our numbers tripled when we brought it up. So there's some people out there paying attention. So again, just go to savehistoricgettysburg.com, please. And if you'd like to know more, we can get back in touch with the Tree of Valor and General Gale. And you can get information. But again, on that website, you'll get a lot of information. And we want to keep Gettysburg. That is the whole goal. We want to save the historic area as it is, and we want to make sure that it stays there. There's a lot behind, right, General Gale? That there's a lot of reasons to keep it there.
And the website talks about it a lot. But if you sign our petition to save historic Gettysburg, you will help contribute to our success.
Okay. That sounds great.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor to be with you.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you're doing and for your service. Thank you for what you're doing there, not only with Division, with eleVIVO.com. Again, everyone, thank you for everything you're doing. Again, getting us more information on the dogs. I would love to know more about the surviving families. For instance, I'm a mom. I want to know more about siblings and the families. So the mother, Lori knows I'm big on this.
Let me see what I can find for you.
I really want to know more about how are we going to help the families. And then Lori, you have what is left on your list. We've covered quite a lot.
Yeah. So
we found out where you're from.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Well, I actually I was raised in a little town, like 15 minutes up the road called Littlestown.
Okay.
So
I know exactly
my friend who owns this restaurant, her family, the Lithikus family, they actually, we've been friends since elementary school.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
And so I won't mention the area, but yes, up in that area, there's family up there too. I think we actually have mentioned that because it's ironic because I'm from the South, but the other part of my family is all up in that area. So a little bitty town up there. But what's left on your list, Lori, with the Tree of Valor?
Just who your guest is next week, which is the Washington State Freedom Runner, Tai. So
yes, we do. We have the Washington State Freedom Runner, Private First Class Tai Eliason, who will be on with us next Wednesday at 7:15 Central Standard Time. That is where I am at. And so for the Tree of Valor, we're making sure to stress that to every one of you. 7:15. If it's 7:20, it's because of airtime. But join in, tune in, active duty right now. We will have him on. A lot of people knew him before he joined since he was very young. But right now with General Gale Pollock, I was able to look up and see you testifying, by the way. I loved that. I like it when someone speaks up because then you don't have a problem. If you speak up and stand up in the beginning, then you won't have major issues in the end. So I employ every one of you to stand up, speak up, and do something rather than watch something happening and do nothing. So here at Patriots Inside the Wire, we talk about doing things. We don't just talk. So it's all a lot of truth telling. You know that, Lori. So how do you close out now, Lori? Because we usually close out with our music in the gallery. How are we going to close out tonight?
Well, actually, I know she needs to go because she has to get up early.
Yes.
But I don't know. I have my other phone. I have my phone with the podcast on it as well. and I was going to take like a quick trip
Oh,
around
nice.
Gettysburg if you want me to do that.
Okay. Well,
So-
tune in, everybody. Stand by with us. Lori,
Just
here
give me a
with-
minute to make that happen if you want to show her
Okay.
pictures and play your.
I will
song
show
live.
some of General Gale's pictures with you, General Gale, and then while Lori is going to show you, she's in. Right, you better tell them the name of the restaurant again. So as she's walking around,
The
she's
Lincoln
gonna-
Diner.
The Lincoln Diner.
the
Yeah,
Lincoln
like that.
Diner.
Gettysburg,
And then
Massachusetts.
we're going to show you live where they are at right now. And you can take a look while I'm showing some of the pictures, but we'll be careful because if you're going to show
Well, I'm gonna
live
use
where
my
you're at,
phone.
okay.
Right, well, I'm gonna use my phone to do that.
Okay.
So I just need to grab my.
She just
stuff.
needs to be able to get up and
Yeah,
move around
so
and do it.
Do you see me backstage on my phone?
I can. Yep.
Okay,
As
all
soon
right.
as you're ready, you just either
Okay.
tell Gail to
Okay.
do the thumbs up or just give one of us a thumbs up. As you were speaking, this is the picture I found right here. So you've got you speaking literally as the Surgeon General there in the Army. I have this picture as well.
That was the change of command when I gave the responsibilities of the Western Pacific and Tripler Army Medical Center to one of my colleagues.
Okay. All right. And this one, whoa.
Boy, oh boy, you found all kinds of pictures. That's the day that I
Yes.
got promoted to 2 stars. General
Wow.
Kiley on the left side of the screen,
Yes.
and my husband, Doug McAllister, on the right side.
Wow. Okay. I like that picture, by the way.
Thank
That's
you.
a great picture. And then we
Thank
have
you.
this picture. There we are.
You've been on the web. You've been looking it up.
Between Lori
And
and
I still
both.
have my hair short, only now it's more purple.
I like it. I like it. And it's
Couldn't
easy.
have done it in the Army, but you know.
Yeah, yeah, easy. And then again, I had already shown this one, but and then we have this one.
Yep.
Who are you? You're telling someone something. I see the finger.
I'm explaining to one of the Air Force generals. I'm trying to think about looking at the picture and where it was.
Yeah, I was trying to look.
My
and see.
my EA is behind me,
Okay.
but I'm not sure where that picture was taken.
Yeah, I was looking too, and I just noticed that. Let's see. There we go. Here's a picture.
That was it's the tradition for the Army Nurse Corps chief to have a painting done.
Oh,
And so that was my retirement painting.
wow.
That
I like that. Nice.
I
Have you heard of?
I believe that picture is down in San Antonio at the AMED Museum.
That's not far from me. I'll have to check that out. All right. Yeah, we have Michael Gerald Reagan. Have you heard of him? Michael Gerald Reagan paints a lot of these portraits.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then he does a lot for free for the Gold Star family. So we're
that's
very
wonderful.
thankful for him.
That's
And then we have this one.
one of the things that I thought was really important was getting out and about and seeing my team.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it was just an example of me out with a group.
Got it.
I
All
loved,
right.
I loved going to the different installations and seeing the men
Yeah.
and women that were making a difference every day. And that was me. What an honor it was, because I got to add a streaming ribbon to the flag for Tripler.
Wow. Okay. And then we have you here. They're serving.
No, that's just,
Look at
that
that.
was one of
That's
the
a
photos they
beautiful
did that, you know, we can
Keep.
look back and go,
An
gee,
honor.
you look so much younger then.
Well, they're all great pictures, so we
Thanks.
couldn't not
Thanks.
show those pictures. And I don't see her back there, so
She's standing talking. I'm trying to.
Are you done?
well,
We
tell her
were
to
filling
tell us.
time while you were getting organized.
I'm good. I'm ready.
She says
Tell
she's
her
ready
to
and
tell
she's
me when.
organized.
Okay, so we're adding her
Okay,
too.
so I'm turning it over to her.
So here is Lori, and you're upside down, and there we go. There she is.
Okay.
Okay. And I wish, yeah. So I'm gonna have to take you outside. I'm gonna close one computer. Here we go.
There you go.
And I'm gonna take you, I know this is not how we normally do this, but this is.
go with you.
Oh, you can, but I definitely don't have to because I know you need.
There we go. I got it.
So
Here we go. Everybody stand by. We're at the Lincoln Diner. And what we're trying to do is show you the inside. We're going to show you what they want to preserve in Gettysburg. So, again, stand by. Lori, are you wanting this on your? Okay, got you. Okay, we've got it.
all right. Sorry, I was trying to do far too many things at one time.
Nope.
This is not how we normally do things.
It's okay. You're moving all around. So
Thank you so much. There's her little
thank you,
dog.
General Gale and Nigel.
Here.
So
I'm gonna
you're at
stick
the
this
Lincoln Diner,
Here.
and it looks closed.
It is. They kept it open for us. My
Wow, there you
friend
go. Look at that.
Kathy and her daughter. Yes, that's how magnificent they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you've got the Tree of Valor.
Yes.
It says backstage only. I'll fix it, but they're about to show you the Lincoln Diner and the area literally live right now on remote with the team. So stand by as Lori adjusts, and literally we'll get that for you. I'm going to fix your headline
I just
right
thought
now.
some people would really enjoy the
Seeing
whole
this live.
seeing Gettysburg, right?
Yes.
I really thought some of our guests would really love that. So
Yes.
I realized on the radio you can't see it, right? But so
Right.
this is the big dining room back here in the Lincoln Diner.
Nice.
Okay, and of course there's all kinds of references to Lincoln's picture everywhere.
Oh wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Mhm. So this is actually a picture of the diner right here. But yeah, so they literally kept it open like it's
nice.
yes, they kept it open for us to do
nice.
To do the podcast. How sweet was that?
It is. It
mean,
is
like,
because
yeah.
they're on live on a broadcast, podcast, and radio. And right now, what we're doing is showing you the Lincoln Diner. We're talking about Gettysburg, and you're able to see this. If you'll go to YouTube, you'll find Patriots Inside the Wire. Unless you're on X right now, you can find it on X as well. You can find it on Facebook too. You can go to Patriots Inside the Wire as well. You'll be able to find it right now. And Lori, I'm sure, has got if she hasn't shared it yet, she'll be sharing the whole thing.
Oh, I did. I did share. I did share it. Yeah.
Now she's going to walk out with us. She's walking out with us live so that we see this. And is it cold? Because you've got a scarf and everything.
That's why I put the scarf on because it did get
Okay.
chilly. Yeah. Hold on a second. It's so weird. Tomorrow it's supposed to be super warm, but yeah. So
the area that is Save Historic Gettysburg is the Lincoln Diner right in the area that the apartment.
it's actually right there. Like,
wow.
Where is it? Where's it supposed to be?
Across from the Majestic.
Oh, so this is the Majestic.
Okay.
I feel like I wish I had a tour guide here because it's been there's certain things I would really like if I had more time that I would want to talk about. Hold on one second here.
So we're talking about Gettysburg. We're in Gettysburg live right now, and we're showing you Gettysburg historic area. Lori is with the Tree of Valor. She's showing some areas to you right now.
This is the famous Majestic right here. Okay. So actually what I want to take you, one of my favorite things is to actually have you see the Lincoln on the square, right?
Oh, okay.
So there's an actual statue of the famous Abraham Lincoln there. And maybe the next time I come, I could actually do like a regular tour. You'll see a lot of times they do ghost tours here. And I do want to say on my very first ghost tour, I heard something that I never, ever forgot. And the tour guide, her name was Tammy Sparks.
Did you say ghost tour?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you did.
I did. And someone said to her, why are there so many ghosts in Gettysburg? And she said, it's because they do not want the sacrifices made here to be forgotten. And I think, I'm sure that's true of every wartime. I mean, the Civil War is the bloodiest battle this country has ever seen. And so no matter what side of the, you know, line you stand on with that, it doesn't change the bloodshed that happened here. So,
Right, right. It's
the
about
fields
people.
that
It's
were
about community and people. There you
right. I
go.
mean, even the regular. So this is the square, right?
Mm,
Gettysburg Square,
mm-hmm.
the famous Hotel Gettysburg.
Wow.
But right over here, there's so many, like I said, on another day when I come, maybe we could just, if people wanted it. I mean, there's a lot of people that like to see things that they don't get to
They
see
can't get
because
out and see them.
no.
And we're
So,
talking about saving it. So save historic
well, and the
gettysburg.com.
town's not in, it's not, the issue is not of losing the town. It's just that by putting up, so here's even
The large
one of the, it
building.
says Go City Tours.
Oh, wow. Go
So
City Tour.
look at this.
Mm. I can tell you're up north. Oh, wow. Look at that. Yep. There it is,
How cool
Lincoln.
is that?
And now I have
So
a question for everyone out there. Who do
So
they
people
think that
love to
is?
stand here as if they're talking to him, right?
Yeah. Now my question is to everyone else. Who do they think that is that Lincoln is standing with?
Well, and I don't honestly, I don't think, and I guess I should know this, but I don't. I don't know if it's necessarily a certain individual, and I guess I should
Is
know
it
that,
just
but I
supposed
don't.
to represent everybody?
Yes, it's just supposed to represent.
If anyone out there
Um,
knows the answer, send me the
and
answer
oh my
there.
gosh,
But
I know I should know this, but I don't.
no,
How
I'm sure
embarrassing!
it's on savehistoricgettysburg.com. You can check that out. I bet you General Pollock knew this. I think it's supposed to represent everyone. I already know what everyone's thinking. We'll just put a couple more people around.
It's been so long since I've. Okay, here we go. This is what it says. So I'll let
Okay.
you look at this. Wait, let me turn this way. Hold on 1 second. Can you see
This
him?
is Lincoln. Yep, there's
And so
Lincoln, and it's
it
there.
says,
Yes.
commissioned by the Lincoln Fellowship of Pennsylvania, J. Seward Johnson Jr.'s return visit is the most true to life statue of Abraham Lincoln ever created. An 1865 cast of Lincoln's face by Clark Mills and an 1860 cast of Lincoln's hands by Leonard Volk define the starting point of Johnson's work. He
Yes.
sculpted Lincoln and then dressed the statue with a replica suit and coat patterned from clothing once worn by the president. The shoes are based on an outline made by Lincoln's immigrant bootmaker, Pennsylvania, Pete, I think that's Collar. The bronze Lincoln points with his hat towards the second floor of the Wills house, where he probably finished writing his Gettysburg Address. A late 20th century tourist eyes follow the president's uplifted hand. At the November 1991 dedication, sculptor J. Seward Johnson remarked, I grew to feel Lincoln, the man, the individual, a person of great dignity and vision. I wanted him here on the sidewalk within our reach. That's why I have done my best to bring Lincoln to the likeness of life, to live amongst us and among the coming generations of Americans. We welcome him back here today to breathe new life into his message of equality and dignity for us all. And I knew once I was like reminded of the story that I would remember. So the David Wills house is right here. This
What is
brick,
it?
it's called the David Wills house.
David
And
Will's house.
yeah, no, it's called the Wills house, really, but
Okay.
it's Abraham Lincoln slept in this house since November 18th, 1863, the night before his immortal address at the cemetery. So, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. I
History.
love this town.
A lot of history.
So,
A
yeah,
lot of
it's just a
history
great
there.
historic, a great
I have
historic.
the perfect individual literally to come on to speak about this, and he lives up that way. And no kidding, I knew the X community that I have us on right now would literally double up their numbers when I mentioned Gettysburg and I mentioned
Really?
the save historic gettysburg.com and what was happening out there. and what you're doing and walking around and showing us by putting up this apartment building, by putting up these tall buildings, what's going to happen is you'll no longer have this square that's been there, this historic area. So,
Well, I
I
mean,
don't get
over
into
time,
the,
I guess over time, what to worry about is, I mean, Gettysburg's going to remain, but once you open the door to letting in, large, meaningless. I won't say it's not doesn't have meaning for the people who live here who want to live in that apartment building. We're just saying build it somewhere else,
yeah,
right?
don't cover up the historic downtown area is what it is. So, this is
Right.
all about, yeah, you'll find this everywhere in America. I'm not getting into the politics of it, but what I'm saying is there can be a place for everything. So we're talking about savehistoricgettysburg.com. You can go there and you can check out what is happening there in Gettysburg as she's showing us right now, Gettysburg, the area. I won't get into the nuts and bolts of Gettysburg or anything. We're not trying to do that for you. We're showing you an area, a historic area where lives have been lost. And I'm not going to get into what you think is right or wrong. I'm going to tell you losing lives in a community and taking care of each other and being people that help people. That's what you do. So that's what we're talking about usually on this show. Not even usually, that's what we talk about. What is this we're looking at now, Lori?
This is actually the courthouse, but we were going to go over here.
Don't get hit. We are
Be fun to
live.
watch, as I would say, but
I don't want to be on TikTok, and we need you around.
so this is actually Thaddeus Stevens.
Yes,
If you can see this, this is Thaddeus
Yeah.
Stevens.
Thaddeus
The great
Stevens. Yep.
commoner. Yes. So
It's
he
a little
actually got
dark.
18
but
to
you can
what?
see it.
He
I can
saved
actually see that.
can you see that? He
Yeah,
saved
back
Civil
up
War
just a little.
changes by banning, this is all the people from the South, but by
Yes.
banning ex-Confederates from entering Congress. So he actually did a lot of
It's
things.
Thaddeus Stevens. Yes.
Yes. He participated in the Underground Railroad, advocated use of black soldiers. He got $18,000 from the state for the college's first building for the Gettysburg College. So they
He
called him
was
like the
quite
savior.
active in the Underground Railroad, actually.
Yes,
So
but
yeah, he was very active.
the savior of public education.
Yes, if you don't know who Thaddeus Stevens is, please look that up because I don't want to have to give you a history lesson on that. But we want you to see while we're there live because that would be rare. Normally, you're going to be in the gallery. So
Right. So I wanted to show you this.
okay, you're on a tour with us right now in Gettysburg.
Can you see? Can
Oh,
you
wow.
see this? The Blue Star Memorial. Can you see
Oh,
that?
I see that. Huh. Okay.
A tribute to the armed forces that had defended the United States of America.
Nice. Do they have a gold one?
I actually don't. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it says anything. It doesn't say anything. I would think so, but this is one town I have not actually brought the trees to Pennsylvania, which is funny.
Really?
Even no, I've never brought them here, which is funny even to me. So I actually started that advocating for that. So
Yeah,
Gettysburg
we'll
is
have to
really
do
the
an
place
event
to
there.
start. I mean,
We'll have
Gettysburg is the place to
definitely.
start. So
Yeah. Well, I will get a hold of him. He's on X is where I met him, which is the platform. He was running for president. I ended up becoming friends with him, and we're not going into that lane. But what I'm telling you is everything he stood for as far as in doing work within Gettysburg was excellent, and he's active on the ground. So I need to get back a hold of him about Gettysburg. He's the perfect guest for this, Lori.
okay.
Yeah. We would literally have every bit of information you could possibly imagine. He's an expert.
Well, actually, there's certain streets that I definitely could I could go down and give my own ghost tours in this town.
Mm.
But because I'm by myself,
You think
and
there's a ghost on the street?
oh, well, there's ghosts everywhere here because this is Gettysburg, and you know, this, it is, it's
I'm
Gettysburg.
not laughing because of the thought of it. I'm laughing because I'm guaranteeing our listeners out there are like, what the heck? We are talking with a major general about vision and dogs, and now we're talking about Gettysburg saving it, and now we're talking about ghosts. We are
Well,
on a
some
ghost
people say
tour.
that Gettysburg is one of the most haunted. It's one of the most haunted places in America. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, some people don't believe in it, so that's why I was laughing. I was saying,
well, don't
okay,
come here then. Don't come here then. That's for sure. And don't take a walk at night certain places in this town because you will have a new opinion.
you have a new friend.
And
You'll
really, I
find
know it's an odd topic, but to be honest, it's not like it's some kind of evilness. It's just people not
no,
wanting to be forgotten, and
we never.
that's all. That's all it is. It's not wanting to be forgotten,
Mhm.
and um,
So you're a believer of ghosts.
oh, we won't even go down that rabbit hole.
That's a whole
Look at
show.
this.
Look
There's a
at this. You
Christmas tree
found a
store.
tree.
Look at that. Here's my tree. I found some trees.
Yeah, you need to go in there when they're open. We need to get some pictures on there of the
Yeah,
ghosts.
yeah, we do.
Literally.
Well, I will tell
Ghosts
you, not speaking of ghosts, but speaking of spirits, Lexi picked another tree this week from the USS Fitzgerald.
Wow.
That she picked another tree that there was a sailor missing. We haven't posted it. We haven't posted it yet. We haven't posted it, but she picked another tree in the gallery. There's 100 trees,
Yeah.
and she picked the tree that had um a sailor missing, that he
Somebody
had
missing.
come off.
Yeah.
He was in
Yeah.
a little repair box. How
Right.
did she know?
Right.
So do I believe in spirits and such?
Well, I know that
How-
I do. I mean, I'm not one questioning. I'm telling you right now, I've had experience. So
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to tell the truth. So I'll tell you the truth right now. You better believe there is. You better believe that a lot of situations I've been in, I've been grateful. So here's a picture of Lexi, by the way, and Lexi chose and found the individual missing on the tree. So I have several pictures of Lexi, but I do normally make sure that we bring up Lexi in our anything we're doing. Again, and siblings with cash, and that is how Lori and I met. We are really, really, really big on you need to support the siblings. You need to take care of the families. And so this is not just about the moms. And when General Pollock brought up eyesight, I was going to show her this picture. Do you notice something on one of the eyes of Sergeant Two Step? Can you see the difference?
I gotta
In
put my
one
little
eye?
old lady shoe. No.
Yeah. Can you see that? She would see that one eye on the left there is
Right.
down a little. So
Yeah.
he had an issue in the military. So
Oh.
ironically, I wasn't going to stop her, but yes, he would have been one of those people that ended up having an injury. And luckily, he still had his sight, but it was he would have to have very, very thick glasses or contacts or something because of his being injured in his eye. So ironic. I didn't even tell you that. So here we are with a guest on tonight, and you're bringing me things constantly that are about that. But here we are in Gettysburg.
You always connect with the guests, Tracy. You always connect with the guests.
So you're like that connector is what you are. So from the Tree of Valor, she's live right now outside at Gettysburg in the historic downtown area. We were talking about ghosts, literally. So if you tuned in late, you need to go through the whole show. But right now, we kind of turned our topics onto saving Gettysburg, savehistoricgettysburg.com, and then that there are ghosts because so much has happened in that area, and asking each other, do you believe? My answer is yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you see me saying yes like this? I'm saying it like this for a reason because yes. It's been right there in front of me. And I've been grateful because it's been something that has been warnings. It came to me about my own son, literally. I've got it in writing because I couldn't speak, literally. Remember, I lost all, I couldn't talk, nothing, because it was my throat was cut. So it's in writing. And then it came to me and I sent it back in writing. And unfortunately it happened. But so as you're freezing cold out there with the Tree of Valor there in Gettysburg, we like that we've been able to see the historic area. We're going to wrap it up. I want to see how you want to wrap it up because you're all wrapped up in a scarf. Uh-huh. I don't know how cold it is there, but you're making me do this inside.
Oh no, it's actually, it's not really that bad. Tomorrow it's supposed to be really nice, and yeah.
Okay.
I just like to always say the same thing we always say, which is we see you. We don't want anyone to feel forgotten. And tomorrow is another day, and we expect to see you in it.
Yes, of course. And tune in next week. You'll see us with an active duty individual that a lot of you
I'm
out
so
there
excited.
will recognize, who's been doing a lot of recognition for those who are no longer here, and the families, the survivors of the fallen. So tune in next week on Wednesday, 7:15 p.m. Central Standard Time to Patriots Inside the Wire. You can find this on YouTube. Go to Patriots Inside the Wire for YouTube, please. And our website always holds the show for a certain amount of time. So you can always go there and check the show. And again, we want to say thank you to 107.5 The Swamp for carrying the show as well. And thank you to Heroes Media Group, our partners as well. So tonight with the Tree of Valor partnered here on our show, Patriots Inside the Wire on a Wednesday. Tune in.
And thank you, Lincoln Diner, for letting us
And thank you, Lincoln
crash
Diner and
at the
and
restaurant.
General Pollock, right? Both. Thank you.
Yes,
Definitely
yes.
Lincoln Diner. Thank you. And we will be back tomorrow night with our two-step tribe on a Thursday. We're on every night, so I'm not going to say a night. We're on again at 8:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tune in tomorrow to find out more. We do have something coming to you. We do have officially Patriot Fest coming, as well as our concert series for the Sergeant Two-Step Foundation. So that's something that Lori and I will get into more with you. Stay tuned. Patriot Fest was just found out today that it is happening in Fort Worth, Texas. And that will be in March of 2026. But in September of this year, we do have a concert that is happening. The Sergeant Two-Step Foundation is partnered with the CMAs, and Tree of Valor is, of course, our partner. So we cannot wait to bring this to you as well. We're going to sign off now so that Lori can go get warm in the car and not have ghosts following you all around Gettysburg. So the ghost tour by Lori in the Tree of Valor.
Okay.
Oh, someone's going to find this show and literally clip it out just for this. So watch. That's what's that. They're going to do it. They're going to find the show and they're going to clip out you walking around and us talking about ghosts. So thank you for tuning in to Patriots Inside the Wire. We're going to go out now and hope that see you again. Tune in to our shows. We are on all through the week. Again, thank you again to 107.5 The Swamp and Heroes Media Group. We are going to sign off and say thank you so much to the Lincoln Diner. Thank you so much to the General Gale and eleVIVO, what she's doing and everything that we were able to do tonight. So again, our sign out is here.
Thank you for watching another episode of Patriots Inside the Wire, hosted by Gold Star Mom, Tracy Two-Step. Help us broaden our reach. Like, subscribe, and share.
Outside, let's so out of my brother Two-Step.
There you go. We are signing out tonight. Tree of Valor, thank you again.
Thank
Another
you.
great night. Good to see you. PatriotsInsideTheWire.com. Tree of Valor, you can find them as well, all over platforms. And I will be in touch with you. Get safely to your vehicle. and let me know that you're good. Say hello to Lexi. We always have to say Lexi's name too. So again, thank you so much. We're going to sign out now for joining us with Patriots Inside the Wire. Good night.